Shalom, Pastor Harkin, I'm back at you with this truth, giving all praises to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Hashem, Kodash. I'm gonna make this quick. And I'm gonna entitle this video, Deuteronomy 30, verse 4, is America. Now, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna start from the first verse, and I'm gonna read down. I may stop at the 2014 verse, I may read the rest. I'll probably read the whole thing. It says here in the headings, restoration promised. And this restoration is when the Most High finally sets us back up as the #1 people on the planet Earth. A lot of people out there ignore Deuteronomy 30. Mostly they go to Deuteronomy 28. And this is after the curses. And in the same chapter, it says the ones that came up against us that perpetrated the curses on us, because the Most High uses people to curse other people. So part of our curses has everything to do with the nations that cursed us. Now you have Vocab Malone and Dr. James White and others that when we went into Deuteronomy 28 chapter, I remember Dr. James White saying that, well, that's talking about the Assyrians. Well, when you go to Deuteronomy the 28 chapter and you read the whole chapter, you have scholars. If you to go to the commentary, right, the Bible Hub, you have scholars that'll tell you that it's talking about Assyria, and it's talking about Babylon, and I believe they even mention Rome. I'm almost positive they mention Rome, because I was going through the commentary in the Bible Hub. So when you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, is not just talking about one captivity. It's referring to the major captivities that we went through after we left out of Egypt, according to the scholars. And we agree, because when you go to around the 50th verse of Deuteronomy 28 chapter, you read down a couple of verses, that's definitely talking about Rome. Now, scholars say it's also talking about Assyria, it's also talking about Babylon. Okay, let's go with that. But Deuteronomy 28, verse 50 on down, when it speaks about that particular time, whether it be the Assyrians, Babylonians, Romans, it's also referring to what we went through in slavery over here in America, talking about the transatlantic slave trade, the part where they said they put yokes of iron upon our neck is definitely talking about over here. Now, did they put yokes of iron on the people? They didn't do it in the Roman Empire, because that system was based upon a system of tribute. They took you over. They said, okay, if you give us X amount of tax, which is tribute, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. All we want is the tax. And that's what America's doing today. They don't have you in hardcore slavery, but they're taxing you. So let's just go into it. It says Deuteronomy 30, verse 1, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have sent before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whither the Lord thy power hath driven thee. So it's not just talking about the Assyrian captivity. Talking about the Roman captivity, 70 AD, the Babylonians, the Greeks, and shall return unto Yahweh, the Most High, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul. That they never got right with the Most High. So this is talking about now. We're getting our act together now. We're getting our minds right now. There's something in Isaiah 19. Let me go to that real quick. I'll start from the 19th verse. You really have to read the whole chapter. Isaiah 19:19. In that day shall there be an altar to Yahweh in the midst of the land of Egypt. You know that that's not talking about ancient Egypt, it's talking about America, spiritual Egypt, Revelation 11. And a pillar at the border thereof to Yahweh. That's in America. This America is the altar that's going to be sacrificed by fire. 20th verse. And it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto Yahweh of hosts in the land of Egypt, which is Babylon. For they shall cry unto Yahweh. That's what we're doing now. That's why you see so many camps out there. Yahweh, because of the oppressors. What particular oppressor is it talking about? It's talking about Esau in America and around the world. And he shall send them a savior. Now, when did he send us a savior? 2,000 years ago during the Roman Empire. This is the Roman Empire all over again. And a great one, and he shall deliver them. So when is he going to deliver them? On the second advent. So this time when the Savior comes, he shall send them a Savior. He's coming with power. He's not going to meet you as a man, Isaiah 47. And Yahweh shall be known to Egypt, and the Egyptians, Babylonians, shall know Yahweh in that day and shall do sacrifice and oblation. That's the Egyptians is talking about Israelites in Egypt, in modern Egypt, in spiritual Egypt. Yeah, they shall vow a vow unto Yahweh. They shall, in other words, it's referring to the elect and to the men that are out there on the highways and the byways, and the women getting themselves in order and perform it. When we go out on the highways and the byways, that's an act. So we're performing that act. It says, and Yahweh shall smite Egypt, Babylon the Great. He shall smite and heal it, and they shall return even to Yahweh. So the Lord is, our Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, is smiting Egypt, but then it's letting itself recover. Smiting Egypt and letting itself recover. The last smite will be when the Lord comes with the angels and delivers us, the elect, and take this place out. So this country is going through a lot of turmoil right now. It's being smitten and it's being healed. But there's going to be a time where it's going to be smitten and not going to be healed. That's the missiles. And he shall be entreated of them, the Israelites, and shall what? Heal them, the Israelites. In that day, which is yet to come, shall there be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria. And the Assyrians, another word for Assyria is Babylon the Great, America, shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptian into Egyptian meaning the Israelites in Egypt, in Babylon, and this and into Assyria. In Hosea, it says Ephraim, I'm paraphrasing, took their child to the murderer. He goes from, what does he say? He goes from Assyria to Egypt, and he brings the murder. I'm paraphrasing it. And the Egyptian shall serve with the Assyrians. Matter of fact, let me do this, and I'll come back. Murderer. It's in Hosea. Okay, here it is, Hosea 9. Hosea 9, verse 13. Ephraim, which is the tribe of Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Ricans, as I saw Tyrus is planted in a pleasant place. And that's Puerto Rico. But Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murder. They're going to go from Puerto Rico and they're going to come to America. Now, it says Assyria. Give me a second. Let's see if it's in the same verse. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, Hosea 9, verse 3, they shall not dwell in the Lord's land, which is Israel, but Ephraim shall return to Egypt, which is America, and they shall eat unclean things in Assyria. That's talking about this captivity, because Egypt is America. You got the West Indian Islands, you got Central and South America, you got Puerto Rico, you got the island is Hispaniola, but it's referring to Ephraim. So they will be in a land, not in America, but they will be eventually brought to America to be taken down by the murderer. So now let's come back to, bear me for a minute. So you got these black consciousness dudes that say, well, that's talking about Egypt. The Israelites were actually Egyptians. They worshiped the Egyptian. No, this is talking about the new Egypt, spiritual Egypt. So right here, I read these verses. It's talking about right now. So let's come back over here to Deuteronomy. So the second verse is talking about right now. And shall return unto Yahweh thy power, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. It's talking about the elect. That then Yahweh thy power will turn thy captivity, because we're in captivity to this day, and have compassion upon thee. It's talking about now, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahweh thy power has scattered thee. That's in Matthew 24. It says he's going to gather the elect from the four winds, because you have the elect scattered. The main deliverance is right here in America, Hosea chapter 1, verse 10. in a place where it was said, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye the sons of the living power. We knew that we were the Israelites in Egypt. We knew that we were the Israelites in Assyria. We knew that we were the Israelites in ancient Rome 2,000 plus years ago. We knew that we were Israelites back in Babylon. We knew that we were Israelites back during the time of the Greeks. Now, when Antiochus came along, he caused a lot of them to not call themselves Jews, not at all to be a Jew. I believe that's Second Ezra 6, verse 6, if I'm not mistaken. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pick it up. No, I'm sorry, Second Maccabees 6, verse 6. Let's see if it's there. 6, verse 6. You really got to read from the first verse, but I'm going right to the point. It said, neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a what? A Jew. And that's where their whole, when you go to the New Testament concerning the Gentiles receiving salvation, that's these people. They forced them not to be Jews no more. They uncircumcised themselves. They spoke Greek. That's why you think the Apostle Paul was able to speak Greek, because he had to speak to those Israelites that only spoke one language, Greek. So now let's come back over here. That when Yahweh thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, this is happening right now, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, because we're literally scattered through all the nations, whither Yahweh the Most High have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven. What's the outmost parts of heaven? When Moses was speaking to us, he was speaking to us in the wilderness, right? That was in the east. So what's the uttermost part of the earth? The west. When you go from the Middle East and you go westbound, you're going to wind up where? You're going to wind up in America. You're going to wind up in North, Central, and South America, in Canada, the US, Central and South America. And that's where a lot of understand this. If there's 50 million Jakes in America, there's millions upon millions of Jakes all around the world. That's just one tribe. That's just one tribe. That's why when you go back to Hosea 1 verse 10, it said, stars of the heaven, sands of the sea that cannot be measured or numbered. Now, the Apostle Gabar had put up like a minute long video of this little class of these young kids, could have been kindergartners or whatever. And they all look like white kids. And they had the one kid in the middle. He was dancing just like a Jake, and he looked just like a so-called white boy. Guess what? That's a Jake. Go check that video out. I put a video up of this dark-skinned guy, this rapper, and I said, I want your feedback. That's what I call it. Give me your feedback. You know what he was. His mother was a Vietnamese, and his father was Nigerian. And everybody's pretty much 99% of the people on the comment board said he's definitely a Jake. He's definitely a Jake. And that also proves that if an Israelite man put his seed in any other nation, the spirit is determined by the seed of the man. Okay, because Fopi is clearly going off on that. and Lahab or Elder Lahab should correct them unless they don't bring it up. But at the same time, Lahab says Edomites and other nations can make it. Scripture say, how can two walk together except they be agreed? So they're not on the same page, Phoebe and Lahab. They just said, well, we got us one of the seven, so we're really over all of you guys. But guess what? Lahab goes off on certain things. One thing is, he says that the nations and Esau can make it. He told me face to face, this is maybe 3 years ago. Because I heard him say it, people said that he said it. So the Spirit had it where I ran into him and I said, can Edomites and the other nations make it? And he said, yeah, if they believe. Well, guess what? None of them believe. And even if they did believe, they're not going to make it anyway. They'll make it all right. They're going to make it into captivity. It says, if any of thine, which are the Israelites, be driven out unto the utmost part of the earth. That's talking about what? That's mentioned in Jeremiah, uttermost part of the earth, and the hindermost part of the earth, which is right over here, shall be a wilderness. That's Jeremiah 50. I believe that's Jeremiah 50, verse 12. And it's also written in Acts 1. The angel told the disciples to the uttermost part of the earth. You're gonna prophesy, you're gonna preach, you're gonna teach, and on the uttermost side of the earth. So guess what? The outmost parts of the heaven represent America, or the Americas, let's say, because you got the tribes scattered throughout North, Central, and South America, which includes Canada. Who do you have in Canada? You have a lot of Benjaminites in Canada. You got Jakes up there in Canada. I've been up into Canada a couple of times. You have a lot of Ephraimites in Canada. You got Simeon up in Canada. And you got millions and millions of Gadites up there. So most of all of the tribes are up there as well. But the great deliverance and the destruction, the utter destruction is going to come on Babylon. It said, from thence will Yahweh thy power gather thee. So he's gathering us right now, but he's putting a spirit on us to go and prophesy. And from thence will he fetch thee. Let me read a couple more verses down because I got to get out of here. And Yahweh thy power will bring thee into the land. Not you get a passport, you go back to the land of Israel. There's no attention on the people over there, Benny, whatever his name is. Somebody help me out. He was from out of Chicago. Benny Ami, he died not too long ago. Those people over there, ain't nobody talking about them because they're really not a major threat. And they don't believe in Yahweh Shai. They go by the Old Testament. So they're just over there. Jake is over there. You know, you got a good 100,000 or more Jakes over there. You got what, 4 or 5 generations of Jakes over there because they went over there in the late 60s, early 70s. So we're talking 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, 2020. You're talking 50 years. They've been out there for 50 plus years. And they had children out there. Their children had children, and their children had children. But the main focus is right here in America. It says, 5th verse, and Yahweh thy power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possess, and thou shalt possess it, and we will take them captives whose captive they were. That's the other part that Esau don't want to deal with. Will do thee good, meaning the kingdom, the glory of the kingdom, and multiply thee above thy fathers. Isaiah 54, excuse me, say Isaiah 54, first couple of verses, it says, lengthen thy cords. Everything's going to go back to it the way it was in the past, where you had a cluster of grapes. You needed 2 strong men to carry a cluster of grapes. Now you can pick up a cluster of grape with 2 fingers. So the earth is going to actually grow. We're going to be truly blessed. And then ultimately, the nations are going to be blessed too, because they're going to eat good food, you know, and they're going to get the laws, but they're not going to be blessed like us. They're going to be blessed in the fact that they received the laws. We ain't just going to be beating on Edomites all day. Just, you know, put them on the ground, just beating the shit out of them. No, we ain't going to be doing that. We're going to put them in order. And if you want to kick their ass, you can kick their ass. You want to give them a break, you give them a break. That's up to you. But we're going to be over them. Over not just Esau, but the other nations. It says, and Yahweh thy power will circumcise thine heart. And what is that talking about? You're going to put the laws in our inward part and program us to be perfect. We're going to be perfect human, what's the term? We're going to be the supreme being on the earth. Perfect. And the heart of thy seed, thy children, to love Yahweh, thy power, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, and that thou mayest live. And Yahweh, the Most High, thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies. Who's the number one enemy right now? Esau. So Esau should start reading Deuteronomy 28, verse 16 on down. Because that's what happened to us is going to happen to you. And on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So they have a payback coming for them. Eighth verse. Let me read a little bit more. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahweh and do all his commandments. The commandments from the very beginning that the Most High gave to Moses, which I command thee this day, 9th verse, and Yahweh thy power will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand. That's going to happen in the kingdom. In the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. That's the kingdom. For Yahweh will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers. And that's the continuation of King Solomon's kingdom. Remember, it said King Solomon's kingdom is going to be an everlasting kingdom. But King Solomon's kingdom is on pause. When the kingdom comes, the Most High is going to press the pause button and unpause it, where the kingdom is going to resume. It says, 10th verse, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power to keep his commandments, and you are going to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, and if thou turn unto the Lord thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul, 11th verse, for this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. But ultimately, the Most High is going to put the Spirit in us to keep the laws perfectly. And that way he can bless us forever. It is not in heaven that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. Why? In thy mouth. What is your heart? Your mind. The Hebrew word for heart is lab, which means mind, meaning he's going to put it in your spirit. That's why verse 12 and verse 13 said, Well, you don't got to go to outer space and get the laws, or you don't got to go on the other side of the ocean to get the laws. The laws are going to actually be in you. Jeremiah 31 and 31, Hebrews 8, verse 6. So who are we going to teach the laws to? Because we're going to be priests, a kingdom of priests. So why would the Most High need a kingdom of priests? Because they have to teach the other nations. Isaiah 2, verse 2. It says, choose life. 15 verse. See, I have set before thee this day life and good and death and evil. And that I command thee this day to love thy power, the Most High, thy power, to walk in his ways, which we didn't. Why? Because we were programmed to mess up and to keep his commandments. That's in Romans 8. You can start at the 20th verse. Subject to vanity. We were subject to programmed to go off. So now the Most High is going to program to do right. And his statutes and his judgment, that thou mayest live and multiply. And Yahweh, see, Esau is looking to kill off a lot of people because he's contrary to the Most High. In his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. He's in his sufficiency right now. He's about to declare the new world order when he charagmas everybody. And Yahweh thy power shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it, which is the kingdom of heaven on earth. But if thine heart turn away, which our heart is not going to turn away, so that thou will not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods. That's what they did after they left the wilderness and served them. I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish. And perish means the Most High is not going to totally do away with you. He's going to scatter you. And that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land, whether thou passest over Jordan to go to possess it. And that's why the people of the world don't accept us as being the Israelites. Last two verses, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, and both thou and thy seed may live. So we died off. The Most High destroyed us. The Most High scattered us. Curses shall you be when you come in the world, which is thy seed, and curses shall thou be when I leave this world. Curses shall be thy basket and thy store. You looking for reparations from Esau? You ain't gonna get no reparations from Esau. He gonna keep kicking that can down the road. True reparation is for you to take what they have and them. It says that thou mayest love the Lord thy power, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him, for he is thy life and the length of thy days, that thou mayest dwell in the land, which is the kingdom, which Yahweh sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. And anyway, I'm going to say, Shalom.